Hello everyone. Today I want to talk about my favourite visual novel of all time. Well, I can't say that honestly, because I haven't played every visual novel there is out there. There are still a few important ones in my backlog, but so far I haven't come across one that has impressed me more, affected me more, that I think about more than Steins. So I just want to introduce you to a few items I have for Steins, tell you quickly about the history of the game, and then I want to do something a bit relaxing, simply enjoyable. I want to show you the prologue of Steins, and I will commentate it a little bit to show you a few things that to me are important. So first of all, Steins, the game. This is the limited edition which P-Cube brought to the West. I think you could say it was a breakthrough for visual novels. People soon realised that they had something special on their hands here. As you can see, I'm also wearing a Steins t-shirt, and that will become clear in a moment when I talk about the characters. The character on this t-shirt is this figurine called Makise Kurisu. The original Western edition also came with a t-shirt back then, and I can't remember whether I bought it separately or it came with the limited edition. I don't know, it's quite a while ago now. And this t-shirt is very well worn. I've worn it for all sorts of outdoors activities. It's incredibly tough and sturdy material. So this is the Vita game, obviously, and it came out in the West at the same time for the PS3. Because Steins had quite a prolonged publishing history. It first came out in Japan in 2009 for the Xbox 360. Yes. It then came out on other platforms, mainly the PlayStation, in Japan, again, only in Japan, in the years after 2009, and it wasn't until 2014 that an edition came to the West, and that was because JAST published a PC version in 2014, both digitally and as a collector's edition. And after that, P-Cube released both the Vita and PlayStation 3 versions in North America and Europe in 2015. There was also an iOS version that came out in 2016. I'm not familiar with that. So as you can see, it's 6 years ago now, and I would have played it pretty soon after I received it, because I'd obviously pre-ordered the limited edition. Has it ever come out on any other console platform subsequently? Not that I'm aware of. It is, however, available for PC. It came out in 2016 as well. There are several other Steins games that you can find on other console platforms, but not the original itself. I recorded my footage for Steins on my PS3, so I will show you that in a moment. I want to play the prologue for you. If you're concerned about spoilers, because a lot of people have actually not played Steins Gate, people who are really heavily into visual novels are usually familiar with it, but otherwise I don't think so. So I'm assuming that most of the viewers for this video may not be familiar with the story. So all I can say is that if you are interested in Steins Gate and would like to find out a little bit more, but not any heavy spoilers, then I think you should be fine with the prologue. It just introduces you to the background and the setting to the story that then later unfolds. If you want absolutely no spoilers at all, then obviously you don't want to watch that particular footage. The limited edition came with a really good art book, small but absolutely packed with the gorgeous art that makes Steins Gate such a treat to play and to watch. Here you see the main cast for Steins Gate, and straight away it should become apparent that the art style is incredibly unique. Here we have one of the female protagonists, Makise Kurisu, and that's of course her, the figure. This is a figure I'm really proud to own. I think it's absolutely beautiful. It captures her pose, her elegance, her striking character, her willpower really well. And it shows her on that fatal flight of steps, the scene you will see later on in the prologue. And importantly, the figurine comes with a tiny metal upa. What's a metal upa, you will ask? You will find out in the prologue. It's incredibly important. That's one of the things I'm going to be focusing on in my commentary, the detail. As it says in the introduction to Steins Gate, nothing is ever trivial. The smallest detail will count somewhere, sometime along the way. Here's the character of Mayuri. And you see her with the metal upa. I often have people say to me, "Oh, I've tried Steins Gate, but the first half is so slow." While I can see what they mean, I would say it isn't really slow at all. You're probably not really paying attention because an awful lot happens, even in that first half, which takes you through a hot, humid Tokyo summer, and you can almost feel that muggy, oppressive atmosphere. And of course everybody's feeling sluggish, but there's heaps of stuff happening, and some of it really very surprising, brutal at times. The first half is all about building up the detail, and there's a lot of detail, and it really helps if you try and keep track of the detail. Don't ever skip over something and think, "Oh, well, yeah, it doesn't matter." No, everything does matter. That's the great thing about Steins Gate. You will go into the second half and suddenly all these details will slot together at different times in different ways, and you will suddenly think back and say, "Wasn't there something about vegetables back then?" And you suddenly realise that apparently trivial remark is actually hugely significant. In the second half, the action really takes off, and it accelerates. The pacing in Steins Gate in my mind, is perfect. You go on a roller coaster ride, you really do, both from the point of view of the plot unfolding as well as emotionally. So here we have Mayuri, or as she likes to call herself by a nickname Mayushi, in what I call her stargazer pose. And she was an inexpensive little figurine I bought second-hand from Japan. Mayuri comes across as a character who, during the first half of the game, you might easily dismiss as a bit of a childish, slightly ditzy female who's into cosplay. Well, all I can say is stick around, because what happened to me was I had a complete reversal of how I saw Mayuri later on, and it really, really hits you in the solar plexus. Obviously, because I don't want to reveal anything significant, any kind of spoilers about the story, I can only talk in very general terms. I hope you understand that. I played Steins for the first time on my Vita, and I think it's just perfect for the handheld. It has that immediate and very intimate experience that you get when you play portable. And of course, on the beautiful Vita OLED screen, the artwork looks out of this world. But I would say it'll be good to play on whichever platform you can get it on. I really wish they were able to bring it to the Switch and thus open it up to a wider audience. I think it would really find a second lease of life. So Steins spawned a few follow-on games. There was an early spin-off called Steins My Darling's Embrace, which is digital only and came out roughly a year after the game itself released. And I've only recently got it actually on PlayStation. Now I just want to briefly mention that Steins did have a sequel, much requested from fans. They wanted to know, did the story continue? What happened to the characters? And 5PB did eventually give us a sequel, and it came to the West in 2016. And it's called Steins 0. I won't be covering that today, that would be far too much. To me, the original Steins visual novel is the crucial game, the one that puts everything else into the shade. Steins by the way, also came out as a manga, and I've got Steins 0 here. And in 2019, something important happened, because Steins Elite came out. What is Steins Elite? It's getting confusing now, eh? Well, it is the original Steins story, but it's a remake and it's a bit different. There are basically two ways now to play Steins either the original version or the Elite version. Steins Elite, I believe, also has a more streamlined gameplay mechanic. Steins the original, is quite convoluted with its various routes and timelines, and you really need to use all the save file slots. I certainly did. I believe they've simplified things in Steins making it more approachable for a more general gaming audience, I think. I haven't played it through yet, so I can't comment more on it. I've only just started Elite. Now, this version also came out as a limited edition. I would call it a pretty basic limited edition, and it comes with a hardback storyboard, which is exactly what it says it is. It's a complete storyboard, the drawings for Steins Oh, and I forgot to mention With this limited edition of Steins Elite came this beautiful wall scroll, and we have it hanging in our lounge next to the TV. Now, Steins Elite has very different graphics. It uses the animations and the graphics from the animated series, the Steins anime. If you don't have the time or don't feel like working your way through the Steins visual novel, which is pretty lengthy, then I would say watching the anime is a good alternative option. Poodlepa and I watched it and we thoroughly enjoyed it. I think they did it very well. The only small flaw is at the ending they tacked on an extra episode, which is completely superfluous really and sort of waters down the ending. So as long as you're aware of that, the adaptation is very faithful to the visual novel story. It's a great way of experiencing the story of Steins Gate. But of course, playing the original game would always come first for me as the ultimate experience. Now, Steins Gate doesn't exist completely in isolation as a game. It is part of the so-called ScienceAdventure series, which encompasses quite a few games. One of them is Chaos Child, and I have actually done a video on that. So if you're interested in Steins Gate, you might be interested in that as well. Why is Steins Gate so important to me? Is it just because it's a fascinating and exciting story about time travel? Yes, I love time travel as much as I love dragons. Is it because of the beautiful artwork? Is it because of the wonderful characters? Well, all of that, yes, of course, but you can find other stories that have very good elements like that. Now, I feel that in Steins Gate, everything comes together. It comes together perfectly. These people knew how to tell a story. They tell it exceptionally well. They make you care about characters who initially you might not think you're gonna like computer hacker Daru, who appears to be into fan service excessively. And then in the second half, you find out things about Daru, and his life changes as everyone else's life changes. And you begin to see him very differently. And you see and learn about the public facades that people put up. We all know this from Persona. Of course, if you know anything about Persona, you know about the public and the private persona. And that is one of the things that's so good about Steins Gate, that as the events unfold, these people don't just change superficially a little bit like you get in many other stories and games. No, they change very profoundly. And there are moments there that will cut deep. Let's put it that way. I can't unfortunately tell you too much about certain scenes and why they are so brilliant, because then I'd be giving away half of the story. But trust me, these writers know about human psychology and the human heart. And there's a direct connection, really, between Steins Gate and the topic I talked about in my video, How I Got Into Gaming. I'll leave it at that for today. I'm sure I'll be talking more about Steins Gate in the future. So I will now show you, finally, the prologue of the original Steins Gate as captured on my PS3, and I will then very briefly show you a bit from Steins Gate Elite and from Steins Gate My Darling's Embrace, which uses the original artwork. And I'll leave you with the catchphrase El Psi Congru. I hope you found that interesting, even if you already knew Steins Gate. Thank you very much for watching. As always, please keep well. I'm Food for Dogs. Bye-bye.